What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this being my review of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. This is season 9 and episode 16. I'm so glad that you guys are back with me for another week of great videos. A couple things I want y'all to do before we get started. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Press that big subscribe button. It is free and easy to do. It takes less than a second to mash that thing, so go ahead and mash it for a brother. Also, be sure to leave this comment a thumbs up. Let me know you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out on my channel. Also, be sure to leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the various topics that we're discussing on this evening. It is technically evening. Also, be sure to press notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. We got Auntie Robin in the building. Auntie Robin says, "Hey, Joe Nathan." Hey, Auntie Robin. Thank you so much for being here. As you can see, Dustin is not with me today. Dustin has some things that he's taking care of, and so unfortunately, he won't be joining me this evening. But hopefully, he will be back next week. So prayers out for Dustin. So I'm going to start. First of all, I have to say I'm so surprised that my video last week that I was by myself for as well lasted over 45 minutes. So I'm not sure how long this one is going to be, but we'll see where it goes from here. But I want to start out, and Auntie Robin has another comment down here saying, "You looking naked." I know. I'm wearing a tank top, a white tank top. So yeah, I know that it looks like I don't have a shirt on, but I do have on a shirt, Auntie Robin. Because that's happens every time that I wear a tank top on camera. It always looks like I'm not wearing any clothes. So maybe I won't wear tank tops on YouTube anymore. But anyways, let's start out with Brandon and Julia because they really didn't have much to do on this episode besides getting ready for their international globe-trotting trip to bring them closer together. Brandon's really worried because, he left things off with his parents on a bad note. They were trying to tell him that it was a bad idea for him and Julia to go on this globe-trotting trip and they need to focus on what's happening at their home. He revealed to them that he had quit his job. Of course, Julia was A-okay with that decision. She had no questions. She had no issues with it. But of course, Brandon's parents were really, really worried about Brandon and his decision making and feeling as though that he's making decisions for Julia and only considering Julia and not considering himself or his family in his decision making, which I believe is completely true. And to me, it is sad to see Brandon just doing everything that Julia wants him to do just in order to keep Julia in his good or to keep himself in Julia's good graces. And again, I don't like that whatsoever. I mean, in a way, I want him to put his foot down. And I don't want to say put his foot down like a man because, men and women can put their foot down on anything. So I just want Brandon to put his foot down on his wants and his desires and being sure that Julia is able to do the things that he wants her to do, as opposed to him just doing everything that she wants him to do and her not, returning the favor. But anyways, they're deciding on what countries they want to go to. They haven't even decided what countries they're going to visit. They want to go to England, Switzerland, different countries here and there. And we'll see what happens. Brandon keeps on saying, we're doing this for the two of us, for our marriage. And then once we get back, we can focus on starting a family. And Julia is not making any comment towards that starting a family type thing. And so it is still clear to me that Julia is not interested in having a family whatsoever. So again, I really do like Brandon. Like, while as I've said in previous reviews, while we were watching The Last Resort, I really was on Julia's side for the most part. I really thought that, Brandon was being a crybaby. And, I was really on Julia's side as far as that was concerned. But now that I'm watching them on Happily Ever After, I'm completely on Brandon's side for sure. Auntie Robin says, I was in and out this episode. Unfortunately, every time I tuned back in, it was Darcy and Macy or Gino's wife. Needless to say, I missed a lot. Okay, no problem, Robin. To be honest, Robin, Auntie Robin, every time that I see Darcy and her sister Stacy on screen, I just want to hit the fast forward button because I'm really not interested in their storyline whatsoever. Like, I really want Georgie to just leave Darcy, but we'll get to that when we get to Darcy and Georgie later on in the episode review. But once again, it is what it is. Like, do I hope that Brandon and Julia get closer? Sure, if that's what works for them. But I want Brandon to be more vocal about what he wants. I mean, he has been pretty vocal about wanting a family for sure, but every time that he brings up the subject, Julia gives all these excuses as to why she isn't ready just yet. And I don't think that Julia will ever be ready to have a baby. And that's all I have to say about Brandon and Julia. So let's move on to Jasmine. So Jasmine and Matt, they are, Matt rolls up in a tow truck. And Jasmine is completely caught by surprise. She's like, what are you doing with this tow truck? And, first of all, for Matt to say that he spent over $100,000 on this tow truck, I have a really hard time believing that. Like, I don't, again, the last time that a car was bought, it was my Malibu that I had. And I think my mom paid like $3,300 for it. So I don't know how much tow trucks are going for, but he claimed to Jasmine that he bought the tow truck for over $100,000. And Jasmine is really upset about this decision he made because she feels as though, he wanted to buy the tow truck so that he can make some extra money for the baby, so that he can make some extra money. Like, I guess he's a mechanic of some sort. They talked about him. I don't know exactly what he does for his regular 9 to 5 job, but apparently he's some type of mechanic. He likes to work on cars and things of that nature. So it would make sense to me personally if he wants to start a tow trucking company. A tow truck company, I guess. I don't know what the right verbiage is for that, but that's what he wants to do to pick up some extra cash. And Jasmine is like, you don't even know how to tow cars. And she said, well, why don't you show me, how to tow a car? So there was, I guess it was Jasmine or Matt's car on the street, and she wanted him to hook it up and, all this good stuff. And, he was kind of struggling with it. He clearly does not know what he's doing when it comes to operating that tow truck, but he could always learn. I'm assuming that being trained on how to operate a tow truck doesn't take much. So I'm sure he'll be fine eventually. But I'm just assuming that Jasmine is having all of these issues because the cameras are on her. Like, this is my thing with Jasmine. Jasmine always brings up unnecessary drama just for the camera's sake. And it's truly annoying to me. Like, I did not pick it up until Happily Ever After, until I started watching this season of 90 Day Fiance. And I think I've seen Jasmine on 3 other iterations of 90 Day Fiance. And I don't know, I guess because I was so much on her side and so against her being with Gino that I was always taking Jasmine's side. But Jasmine is oh Lord, it's Jasmine. It's Jasmine. But anyways, then Jasmine tells Matt that she feels like she's all alone. She feels like, she has no support. We got Tammy in the building. Hey, Tammy. Tammy says, "Oh boy, could not do nothing with that truck." Yeah, he couldn't do anything with the truck, Tammy, at all. But like I said, I'm assuming that he could, get trained on how to operate a tow truck. I'm sure there are videos on YouTube that could tell him exactly how to operate a tow truck. So I can only assume that Matt will be fine when it comes to that. But as I was saying about Jasmine, it seems like Jasmine just brings up unnecessary drama for the camera's sake, and it's just really annoying whenever I'm watching her. But then on a scene later on in the episode, Jasmine and Matt are discussing, because Jasmine is bringing up cute little things that Matt does that, gets her going. She likes to watch him cook. She likes to watch him clean. She likes to watch him work on his cars and things of that nature. And, he said, I appreciate, all the flowers you're giving me, but it seems like you're just putting off having this conversation with your mother. So Jasmine then goes to call her mother to give her an update on what's going on with her with her marriage with Gino, and also the fact that she is now pregnant by Matt, who she is not married to. So Jasmine breaks the news to her mother. Her mother is extremely disappointed. Jasmine is now 7 months pregnant at this time that she's talking to her mother. And her mother is shocked by this information, but she doesn't seem to be surprised, because I have a feeling that Jasmine has a habit of doing these types of things. So it would not surprise me if her mother was just like, oh, well, here goes Jasmine yet again, doing something. And, Jasmine's mother asked her, like, why did you wait so long to tell me? And Jasmine was like, I didn't want you to be disappointed. Well, the disappointment is coming. So why not just go ahead and get it out the way instead of just prolonging the process? But that's what we as humans do. Just in general, a lot of times when we are nervous about doing something, we'll just keep putting it off and keep procrastinating until, we're just forced to, make an announcement of whatever it is that we've been hiding. But anyways, and so Jasmine introduces her mother to Matt. Matt gets on the camera, and you know, Jasmine does reveal to her mother that things are not working out between her and Gino. And her mother also brings up the D word, which is what? Divorce. She said, "Why did you not get divorced from Gino before you made the decision to get pregnant?" But Jasmine is like, we didn't plan the pregnancy, and she was just having a lot of trouble with Gino, and she felt as though this was the best way to work on their marriage. Now, do I believe that opening up your marriage is a good way of fixing things? I do not believe so. However, in Jasmine and Gino's particular predicament, with Gino refusing to be intimate with Jasmine and Jasmine asking for intimacy, and asking, well, if I cannot get it from you and you want to stay married, why don't I get it from an outside source? So that I'm still satisfied, and so that we can, work on our marriage in the meantime, in between time. Now, whether that was a good decision or not, I'd say no, because I just feel as though Jasmine and Gino should have just gotten a divorce, which, once again, I'm not sure if that's even going to happen at this point. Tammy says down there in the comments, Matt hasn't told his family either, or did he? I missed the end of it. No, Matt has not, Tammy. Matt has not told his mother. Matt has not told his father. The only person that knows is his friend that they met up with together. And we have Lady Virgo in the building. Hey, Lady Virgo. Lady Virgo says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Lady Virgo. Thank you so much for being here. But yes, I was going to bring that up in a bit, Tammy, that Matt has not told his mother, and I believe that Matt's family is Romanian, and it's very taboo for them to have sex outside of marriage, to have a child out of wedlock, for all of that stuff. So, Matt's going to have to step up now that Jasmine has told her mother. It's time for Matt to tell his parents as well, because Jasmine brought that up a couple of episodes ago. So we'll see what happens with that. But, Jasmine's mother is asking Matt these questions. And the main question that she had was, why did you agree to have a sexual relationship with a woman who is married? And Matt's answer to that was, well, I was single. I really liked her. I didn't think that it would ruffle any feathers. Gino had no issue with me coming into their relationship. So, he thought it was going to be okay. Lady Virgo says down in the comments, hey, handsome. I'm sorry I'm so late. It's okay, Lady Virgo. I don't mind when you get here. As long as you're here, that's all that matters to me, girl. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for the compliment as well. I love compliments. So thank you so much for that, Lady Virgo. But yeah, and so Jasmine acts as though she's upset with the way that Matt answered the question of why he agreed to start a sexual relationship with Jasmine. It's like, if you didn't want him to tell your mother that he was single and he had no qualms with, getting involved with a married woman, what would have been an acceptable answer for him? That's literally what I want to ask Jasmine. What would have been an acceptable answer, in your opinion, to that particular question? Because I don't know what else what would have been acceptable in Jasmine's eyes. I don't know what she would have been okay with. Lady Virgo says down in the comments to Auntie Robin and Tammy, hello, you guys. Love the camaraderie down in the comments, y'all. Keep it going. So yeah, it's we see in the preview for the next episode that Jasmine is going to end up delivering her baby. Apparently, she's having it at home. She's, I'm not going to try to say that it's not a painful process. Jasmine was clearly in a lot of pain. I'm not sure if she got an epidural. A lot of times, I don't know if epidurals are administered when you have children at home. I'm not sure exactly how that whole process goes. but it's apparently going to be a really dramatic scene when Jasmine is having her baby. But I would say the good thing is that Jasmine's mother did seem happy to hear that the child was going to be a girl. So at least that was a good thing. But anyways, that's all there is for Jasmine and Matt. Once again, I just want Jasmine to do better, and I don't think that that's going to happen as long as she's in front of a camera. In front of a camera, as long as she's in front of a camera, she's going to be able to find some type of drama to bring up out of nowhere. And Tammy says hi to Lady Virgo. Thank you so much for being so cordial down in the comments, y'all. I love y'all in the comments. The comments is what makes my job on YouTube so much fun, so much fun. So keep them coming, y'all. But anyways, let's move on to the couples that are on the ski trip. We've got Andre, Elizabeth, as well as Alexi and Lauren, and Jovi and Yada. So Alexis, not Alexis and Lauren, but Andre and Elizabeth, they go over to Jovi and Yada's, I guess their suite or their hotel room, and they're going to have some shots before they go down to the bar with Alexi and Lauren. And so they're having drinks and, they're catching up and things of that nature. And then Elizabeth takes Yada to the side and tells her that Lauren has been talking a little bit of mess about her and the way that she dresses. And, and initially I'm thinking, is this true? Because, I really don't know Lauren like that. I've seen her on a previous iteration of 90 Day Fiance, but I really haven't gotten a great sense of her character as of yet. So I'm initially thinking that Elizabeth is just saying this to cause a wedge between Yada and Lauren. That's my initial thought until I end up seeing what happens later on down the line. Lady Virgo says down in the comments, off topic, I wondered, did you ever see my comments in your video about the Wendy Osefo from Real Housewives of Potomac? I haven't looked at those comments just yet, Lady Virgo. That's something that I really have to work on, looking at the comments on my posted videos that I don't do live. So I will get to that comment as soon as I get off of this live, Lady Virgo. I'll promise you that. And I will more than likely like it and reply to it as well. So thank you so much for reminding me of that, because a lot of times when I'm not doing a lot of just videos, posting videos on my own and not doing lives, because I typically do lives, I typically don't look at the comments. So I will go back and look at those comments for you, Lady Virgo, and reply to it and like it as well. So thank you so much for that reminder. But anyways, initially when Elizabeth shares this information with Yada, I'm thinking that, Elizabeth is just trying to start some mess. And I didn't like that initially. But then they get to the bar and lo and behold, Elizabeth, Andre, Alexi, and Lauren kind of make up. They kind of, get their stuff together. They kind of reconcile, and they end up hugging, and it's all good. There are apologies made, and it seems like the apologies are genuine. I just have a nasty feeling about Elizabeth and Andre, and I feel like I see why they are together, because they are two sides of the same exact coin. Lady Virgo says, I hope all is well with Dustin. If you're watching, hey Dustin. Yeah, I'm sure Dustin is watching. Yeah, Dustin just has some family stuff that he has to deal with. So that's why he wasn't here last week and he's not here this week. So Dustin is just taking care of some things. But yeah, so they make up, and everything seems to be cool amongst Andre, Elizabeth, Alexi, and Lauren. So I'm glad that they were able to patch that stuff up. I don't know how exactly genuine that was, but then we get to Yada and Lauren, and then Tammy says down in the comments, Elizabeth is straight up shady. Very much so, Tammy. Very much so. I'm not buying the makeup. Me either. Not necessarily. Elizabeth is shady. Elizabeth is very shady. And Andre is very shady as well, because of the way that he was talking about Jovi on the previous episode, saying that, look at his face, and, trying to say that he's, not a handsome guy. I for one think that Jovi is a very attractive man. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, different strokes for different folks. Anyways, Lady Virgo says down in the comments, yes, I try and watch all your videos and recaps commentary. Thank you so much for that, Lady Virgo. I really do appreciate all of your support. All of you guys' support it means the world to me, you guys. So yeah, so Yada pulls Lauren to the side because Yada talked to Jovi, and she told Jovi what Elizabeth told her, and Jovi said, "Well, why don't you just ask her about it? Confront her about it, see what she has to say." And so Yada does confront Lauren about Elizabeth telling her that Lauren has been saying some shady comments about her and the way that she dresses, and Lauren is like, "No, I never did that. Now, I may have talked about the way that you dress, which is what Elizabeth told her that she said, but I may have, said some things about the way that you dress and the clothes that you decide to put on, but it was never to diminish you. It was never to speak badly about you. It was nothing all that. It was all love, all love." And then Lauren then reveals to Yada, "I'm jealous of you. I'm jealous of of the way that of your fashion sense, of the way that you dress, and all of this good stuff." And she said, "Yeah, there, I said it. I'm jealous of you." And I should have known better because although Elizabeth might be shady, I don't think Elizabeth is necessarily a liar. That's excuse me. I'm drinking some Mountain Dew Cold Red, y'all. I had some pizza earlier today, but yeah, I should have known that Lauren would be saying these types of things because Lauren and Elizabeth are a lot more alike than I think Lauren wants the audience to know. Like Lauren is real shady herself. Like she's very shady herself, and I think that's why Elizabeth and Lauren got on so well, because just like Elizabeth and Andre are two sides of the same coin, I believe Elizabeth and Lauren are two sides of the same coin just as much. But Yada was like, it's I have body image issues. I have issues with the way that I look and things of that nature. And why would you say those things? And Lauren is extremely apologetic. And then Lauren storms off. She walks right past Elizabeth after they just made up. Which, just like you said, Tammy, like I don't know if I necessarily believe the makeup, but I don't. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, Lauren storms out. Alexei is left in the dark. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what just happened. And Elizabeth is just sitting there like, it is what it is. But I'm sure Elizabeth knows exactly what just had occurred. Lady Virgo says down in the comments, "No problem, JoJo. We adore and love you and light of the Leo." Thank you so much for that, Lady Virgo. I appreciate all the love. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens next. But once again, this whole trio of Yada, Elizabeth, and Lauren, like I think Yada is probably the best out of the three. I think Yada is more innocent, where Yada, really doesn't have a shadiness about her. She really doesn't talk bad about people. And I really like that about Yada. I think Yada is my favorite female on this season of 90 Day Fiance, to be completely honest. I think she's being earnest with a lot of her conversations and things of that nature. She doesn't bring up things just for drama's sake, just because they're on TV. Although I was a little bit tired of her bringing up the fact that Jovi mentioned that she looked different when she was younger. That went on for 3 episodes. But, I think that is points of contention for Yada. That's something that's very, very hurtful for her. And I can understand why she would have that reaction to Jovi saying what he said. So we'll see what happens on the next video. But Tammy, I do agree with you. I didn't see no realness in that makeup session between Andre, Elizabeth, Alexei, and Lauren. I did not see that at all. But hey, they're doing stuff for TV, so it is what it is. We get what we get. But let's end on my least favorite couple on this show, or I'd say my least favorite participant on the show, which is Darcy. We got Darcy and Georgie. So Stacey, Florian, Darcy, and Georgie, they're heading to the fashion show. Apparently, Darcy and Stacey have a fashion line of sorts. Don't know much about that. Really don't care about that too much either. But hey, they're going to the fashion show. Stacey and Darcy are going to be walking in it. They meet their stylist, which is getting them dressed and all this stuff. I will say though that Darcy and Stacey, they know how to put themselves together. They know how to make themselves look pretty. So they're at least good at that. But Georgie and Florian are outside of the event, and Georgie is, explaining to Florian how how much, he's really frustrated in this marriage with Darcy, and the fact that she really doesn't see things from his perspective. They go, it's like they're going around in circles, having the same issues over and over and over again. And Georgie's really sick of it. And it's in this moment, because I loved Florian so much in The Last Resort when he was there with Stacey, and I was so much on his side. I really wanted Florian to see things from Georgie's side, because just like Lauren and Elizabeth are two sides of the same coin, Darcy and Stacey are definitely two sides of the same coin. Like, they're practically the same person, as far as I'm concerned. I can't tell them apart. Like, if they were standing right next to me, right next to each other, I wouldn't be able to tell who is who. And they act the exact same way. Now, I don't know if they act the exact same way in their true and real life, but on TV, they're pretty much the same. So I was truly expecting for Florian to have a moment of camaraderie with Georgie and be like, I completely understand. Stacey's the exact same way, but Florian is like, just work through it, and things will get better. Florian and Stacey did go to therapy, so maybe they have been able to work things out. And I guess when the pressure is not on Florian, he sees no issue with what's going on between Darcy and Georgie. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, how much do you think that Darcy is paying Georgie to be on the show? I don't believe that their relationship is genuine. To be honest, Auntie Robin, if you asked me, I would be asking the same question, because I don't know too many men that would willingly go on a TV show to be made a fool of, to be talked down upon so much, and just take it like a man, not leave the room, even though he did leave the room in this particular episode, but just stand up and take it. Like, I'm wondering that same exact thing, Auntie Robin, that same exact thing. Tammy says down in the comments, I don't know, I don't know that Darcy wanna be married. I don't think she wants to be married either, Tammy. I honestly think that she just got married just to stay on 90 Day Fiance. My mother told me that Darcy and Stacey have been on 90 Day Fiance for a long time. So I'm assuming that, sometimes people when they get on shows like this, they will continue their relationship in order to keep their spot on the show. So that they have a storyline to go with and things of that nature. And I just don't like Darcy. I don't like Darcy. Don't like Stacey. Don't like Julia. Don't like Jasmine. It's a ish show as far as I'm concerned. Bianca's in the building. Hey, Bianca, thank you so much for being here. Bianca says, happy Monday, Jonathan. Happy Monday to you, Bianca. Hey, Miss Robin, Lady Virgo, and Tammy L. So shout out to Bianca for being in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. Love you, girl. And then we have another comment from Auntie Robin. And Auntie Robin says down here in the comments, Darcy does want to be on TV, though. Yes, she does want to be on TV. And 90 Day Fiance is her gateway to stay on TV. And it's just so annoying to me that these producers and these showrunners continue to let them stay on the show. But I'm assuming maybe Darcy and Stacey keep the ratings up. Who knows? Tammy says hi to Bianca. Love that camaraderie in the comments as well. And then Auntie Robin has another comment here. Let me see what she says. So Auntie Robin also says, Mama Lee is right. Darcy has been on through several consistent through several cosmetic procedures across the continent. Yeah, it's clear that Darcy's face has been pulled and tucked and all that good stuff. Lips as big as balloons, child. It's a whole lot, but yeah, I don't know too many men who would willingly be embarrass themselves on national TV just for a check. Like, I just don't see it. And the thing is, like, as much as I want to feel bad for them, these men willingly stay in the relationship. They stay in the relationship. So who am I to feel sorry for you if you just walk out the door. Just it's so easy to tell Darcy, I don't want you no more. Now, I understand that Darcy does do certain things for Georgie financially, so I don't know if that's the main reason why he's holding on. But we will see. Tammy says down in the comments, Darcy's so insecure. She is very insecure. She kept asking him if he was proud of her. That got on my nerves too, Tammy. She she was just she just annoying. Yeah, she's very annoying. Darcy is extremely annoying. She's like a little girl out of her big old age of 50 years old. She's acting like a little teenage girl who just fell in love. Like, it's so annoying to watch. Auntie Robin also says down in the comments, money must be long. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Darcy must be holding that money over his head like crazy. And money will make you do some crazy things, and money will allow you to be embarrassed on TV again and again and again and again. And that's what these ladies are doing. Timmy says down here in the comments, lips as big as balloons. Exactly. Tammy says her lips are as big as balloons, and I don't know why some women think that that is sexy. Now, let me tell y'all, I love me some big lips on a man. I love me a big lipped man. Now, it's got to be sure to be, to fit his face. And, I haven't seen too many lips that didn't fit someone's face, but I love me a man with some big lips. Like when Ludacris first came out, and, child. But, those types of lips, like, on Darcy and Stacey, no, thank you. And I'm so glad that, that men that I'm attracted to don't do that to themselves. Now, there are men out here who do get lip injections, drag queens in particular, that will get lip injections, but don't get no lip injections. I'm sorry, that's not sexy to me. Natural lips are what I'm looking for. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, Darcy's daddy opens that wallet for them on the regular. It wouldn't surprise me, Auntie Robin. That would not surprise me at all. So after the show, just as you said, Tammy, Darcy is asking Georgie if he's proud of her. And it's like, why do you have to ask these questions? Like, if that is your husband, and, of course, your spouse is supposed to be supporting you. And he's there, like he is there to support you. So what would make you think that he's not proud of you? Like, Darcy is continuing to poke the bear and poke the bear and poke the bear to try to get a reaction and a rise out of him. So Darcy and Georgie are in bed. And Darcy is trying to, once again, get a rise out of Georgie. And she's just straight up asked Georgie, what do you want out of this relationship? And I would love for Georgie to truly answer that question and truly tell Darcy his 100% issues with Darcy, so that she at least knows. Now, whether she's going to try to work on it or not, I would not expect for Darcy to try to work on any of her issues that Georgie has with her. But I just want Georgie to come out with it and tell her. Now, he did say in the confessionals that there's something that he needs to tell Darcy, but he's going to wait until Darcy is in a calmer mood and not so amped up, so that she'll be able to take the business well. And he did let Darcy know that he's missed a lot of things with his family still living in his home country. And, he's upset about missing a lot of family events, graduations, weddings, things of that nature. And Darcy's like, oh, so do you want to leave? Do you want to leave me? And I don't think that when certain people say that to their partners, do you want to leave me, that they are expecting their partner to say, yes, I want to leave you. They're asking that question to, once again, as Darcy does very well, to get a rise out of their partner and to start conflict. And I cannot appreciate that whatsoever. I do appreciate Darcy for asking Georgie what it is that he wants out of the marriage, so she can be clear on what the issue is, because there's a possibility that Darcy cannot see herself, see her actions, and the way that it is affecting Georgie. Like, that's the only thing that I can come up with, unless this is all a farce just for the cameras. But who knows? I just want for Darcy to be better for her husband. I want her to be better for her husband. But Georgie ends up leaving the room. He's like, we're going through this over and over and over again. He's tired. I'm sorry, you guys. I got to plug in my charger. But he's tired of the back and forth. He's tired of them having the same conversations over and over and over again. Of course, at times, Darcy does take accountability. At times, not sure if that's actual true accountability that she's taking, but she seemingly takes accountability and says that she will, work on her issues, but I don't see that happening personally. And I don't know if you guys saw the preview for the next episode, but we see Stacey consoling Darcy in her arms, and Stacey and Darcy, like, I just don't want to see them on TV ever again, like ever again. Flory, I'll leave it at that because I got so much more that I would want to say about who does not deserve who and, all that good stuff. Because, Florian and Georgie are like, to me, in my opinion, they good men. And for people like Stacey and Darcy to treat them like pure, utter shit is so annoying to me. So annoying to me. But anyways, we'll see what happens on the next episode. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this review. I love you guys for watching. Tammy, Lady Virgo, Auntie Robin, Bianca. Excuse me. Thank y'all so much for being there in the comments. This is what I love about doing videos on YouTube. It's the back and forth between us. I'm getting much better with reading y'all's comments as soon as they pop up. So thank y'all so much for being so patient with me on that. I love y'all for watching. Be sure to join me on Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my live Hot Topics and Social Commentary show where I go live with Jennifer and Bianca. And we have some great chit chat about the happenings and goings on in the world. So be sure to join me once again on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Also, be sure to join me next week. Same time, same place, same beautiful faces for my next 90-Day Fiance Happily Ever After review. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there. Love you guys.